You meet with your small group on a monthly basis. All right, that's the ministry meeting itself, how to set an agenda. The annual calendar. I'm hoping to make this extremely easy for you guys, man. Here's how you plan your calendar. There are things that you want your young people to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annually. All right? So, daily, what do you want your young people to do daily? Hey, you want to encourage them to have an active Christian experience, an active Christian life. So, you just want to encourage prayer and Bible reading on a daily basis. You might even ask your young people to even jot down some things. Where is God active in my life today? If they can develop this, where is God? What is he doing in my life today? What's happening today? Where have I seen him interact? If they can develop this at a young age, man, it will bless them tremendously. They will grow and mature in their Christian walk and experience as they see God at work at their age. So you want to encourage daily prayer and Bible reading every single day. Whether you set that for the week, whether you text that to them every day, hey, read this today or read this for the week, and just think about it. We'll talk about it on Sabbath. We'll talk about it on Wednesday. We'll talk about it on whenever. We're going to talk about it this week. So that's the daily. That's what you want them to do daily. You don't have to be with them, but you can communicate what you want them to do daily. Then you want to provide a weekly opportunity to gather. I've seen this happen in other denominations, other faiths, where they have this tremendous youth group. And the youth gather every week, and the youth build, they do things together. But it's an opportunity for them to gather. It's an opportunity for them to fellowship one with another and just simply hang out. You guide the discussion, you guide the topic, you guide what happens in that. But it's amazing when the young people gather, man. They just want to socialize. They just want to be together, and they want to be in a place that's safe, right? So you want to provide that weekly, whether that's Sabbath morning, we call that Sabbath school, whether it's Friday night, whether it's at your traditional AY hour before sunset, whatever the case may be. But there ought to be a time, at least once a week, where the young people are gathering with you as a leader, maybe a couple leaders, but not the entire church. This is not the AY program, that we invite everybody to. What I've noticed is, man, if there's some older people in the house, the older people just, for whatever reason, can't help it, and they end up dominating many times the discussion. They come in telling you, well, the young people, when I was younger, listen, nobody wants to hear about when you were younger, all right? So let the young people gather together with some adult supervision and kind of have a good time, but make sure that there is a strong spiritual intent to whatever you're doing, whatever you're discussing. So that's weekly, once a week. We're encouraging you to do this. Then monthly, we encourage you to have at least one outreach outing with your young people. It's a fun activity. It's an outreach. Do something on a monthly basis, all right? So every third Sabbath, we do an outreach, or every first Sabbath, we go out, we hang out, we eat pizza, and we talk about the lesson, or we talk about something that has happened in one of the young people's lives, or maybe something that happened at school. How do they feel about it? All right. So monthly, just put it on the calendar once a month. Then quarterly. Here's what I'm recommending quarterly. There's this word called intergenerational. I got multi-generational on here, but intergenerational. Quarterly, have an opportunity where everybody can come together and have a good time. Maybe the young people are teaching the older saints how to use their phones, or maybe, there's some interaction, there's some games where the older people are mixed with the younger people. There's a number of things out there, and I'll be sharing some resources at the end of this. There's a number of things out there, guys, where you can include all ages. And I'm just encouraging you, put that on the calendar quarterly so that all ages are getting together, having a good time. You might have a social, whether you got a gym at your church or whether there's a local place where everybody can gather and have a good time, food, and whatever the case may be. Biannually, listen, twice a year, it's already on the calendar. Your federation has a youth weekend, all right? There's usually a Friday night program, Sabbath morning program, Sabbath afternoon. In some of your areas, they have basketball in the evening. Other areas, they rent out a recreational facility of some sort. You as a youth leader, you don't even have to plan that. It's already being planned for you, all right? That happens twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. So you just find out, hey, when is my area having its youth rally, youth federation? And I just plot that on the calendar. Bam, there it is. It's already in your calendar. Then annually, I'm inviting you to come down to Andrews. That's where we meet, Andrews University. It's in September. And we have our annual youth council, our annual youth advisory, where we get together and we plot out the conference goals, initiatives, the agenda, the calendar, the things we want to accomplish. Now remember, the church calendar, guys, goes from January to January, or January 1 to December 31st. The youth calendar really goes in lockstep with the school year. All right. So even though you have the whole year, we begin to plot the course in August/September, because that's the school year. That's when things get active. That's when things get busy. So you're going to have to begin to plan a little bit early, or jump on it now. But that's kind of the youth calendar year is the school calendar year. But every year we invite you down to Andrews. We give you a nice little lunch in the cafeteria. And we discuss youth ministry. We discuss best practices, what's working here, small churches, larger churches, medium-sized churches, and we try to give support. We try to give resources, and we plot the calendar so you know how to plan your next year. All right, I'm moving through quickly. It's 8:48, and I want to be done by 9, y'all. I'd like to be done by 9. Can I get an amen on that? But anyhow, presenting to the board. All right, here we go, y'all. First and foremost, pray. Call on the name of Jesus before you go and into the board meeting with your item. All right, so you want to be prayed up. All right, listen. Number 2, discuss the plans that your group has come up with and propose budget with the pastor and treasurer on how to fund the ministry. And one thing that might assist that is take these 2 individuals out to eat. All right, treat them to a meal, whether it's Taco Bell, maybe it's Olive Garden, whatever the case may be. You might have Cheesecake Factory money. I don't know what you're working with, but take them out to eat. Sit down with your pastor. Sit down with your treasurer. It's great if your pastor's already on your committee. Then he or she already knows, right? He or she already knows what's going to be presented. But talk with these 2 individuals, especially how are we going to fund? This is what we want to do for the young people. Here's how we're going to soul win. Here's how we're going to discipleship. Those are the 2 words, man. It's very difficult for a pastor or treasurer or church to turn down. This is our discipleship goals. These are our evangelism goals for our youth this year. Here's how we see it playing out. Here's the funding that we needed. And they can talk to you about how it's going to be funded, where the money is going to come from. Maybe you have to do a little fundraising, whatever the case may be. But you want to have this discussion prior to the board meeting, all right? You want to have this discussion prior to the board meeting. Don't go in the board meeting and people seeing this stuff for the very, very first time. No, I'm saying discuss this prior to the board meeting. That way, when you present it, your treasurer can speak positively to it. Your pastor can speak positively to it, and they can already prep you about maybe some additional information that will be needed so that the ministry can happen, the event, the activity, whatever it is that you got planned, that we can make that happen, all right? So pray, discuss it with your pastor, your treasurer prior to the meeting, all right? Again, this is in the same vein. Share in advance a clear and concise report of your ministry plan, all right? When, where, who's involved, the cost, the facilities needs, the duration, setup, tear down, what other ministries are involved. Many times, guys, we make these plans. We don't even know how if it's in the church, we don't even know how we're going to get in the church. All right. And then we just assume that there's supposed to be somebody with keys and the deacon's going to open up or somebody's going to set this up. We make these assumptions. No, listen, you need to work through these things before you come to the board to share. Here's how long it's going to last. We need the doors open at 6:45. We need somebody to lock them at 8:15. We're going to be in there for an hour and a half. We're going to do this for this long. All right. We need help setting up. We need help tearing down. All right. Who's going to be involved? Do we need extra help? Do we need ushers? Do we need, make your plan as concise, as clear as you possibly can, and share this plan in advance with your leaders. And I think I've said it like 3 times. All right. Prepare enough copies for the board to see. Some people, you may have emailed it out. Help me, Holy Ghost. You may have emailed it out. Hey, what's going on, everybody? You may have emailed it out. Listen, bring some hard copies. Some people just like to feel paper in their hand. They just want to look at something. Half the folk in the board, they're doodling on your paper, but they're just happy that you gave them something to doodle on, all right? But prepare enough copies of your proposal, of your year, of your calendar, of your ministry, and bring that to the board. And then last but not least, pray again, that God would bless the plans, that God has anointed those plans for the reaching, the ministering, the growing, the maturing of your youth and young adults. That's how you present to the board, all right? All right, here, man, we're coming down the home stretch here. Community service versus outreach, all right? I just want to kind of draw this line of demarcation to delineate between the two. Many times we get these two things confused. Community service are projects for the community with no expectation of evangelism. You're just going out there to bless them because God has blessed you, all right? You're not trying to invite them back somewhere. You're just trying to serve them, all right, in some way, in some capacity, all right? So you say, hey, we're going out to do community service. Just understand, community service is just simply here. I'm giving something to you. I'm handing something to you. I'm helping you because God loves me and I just want to help you. I'm not trying to get you to come to my church. I'm not trying to get you to take Bible studies. If something like that happens out of that, praise God, but that you're not going into that with that expectation, all right? Community outreach now is the reverse. It's the intentional serving or project events with the purpose of introducing persons to the gospel of Jesus or awareness of your church. So if you're going to do outreach, that means you're going to do something specifically that is going to introduce somebody to Jesus or introduce somebody to your church family. Some way, some shape or form, you're trying to weave God into whatever activity, event, project that you are doing. You want to share Jesus in this particular project, all right? That's community outreach. We're coming out here to share Jesus. We're coming on the offensive to share Jesus, all right? That's community outreach. And I just wanted you to beware of what it is, the purpose and the desired outcomes of your projects. Many times we prepare community service projects and then we wonder, well, nobody's coming to the church. Nobody's asking this. Nobody's doing this because it's service. You're just simply serving them. If it's outreach, then again, you're intentionally trying to reach them for Jesus Christ. You're intentionally trying to find ways to share Jesus, have a conversation about God, praying with and for individuals. That's community outreach versus community service. I hope we got that clear. Here, we got a couple minutes left, y'all. Programming, and we're going to do another training with some more specifics, but I just wanted to run down the basics with us tonight. Programming. What age group are you aiming at? Now, I understand, listen, I was in 3 church districts. It was 3 small churches, total of 20 people at one church, and that was when my whole 5 came, all right? So I understand, there's different age groups and whatever the case may be, and there's some churches where everybody's all lumped together. But when you're planning a program, please, please determine what age group that you're aiming at. And many of our books and things of that nature, resources, they break things up into age groups. But young people's natural groupings, I find, is how they're grouped in school. So you got middle schoolers, you have high schoolers, you have collegiate, and you have young adults. And young adults are collegiates are in that young adults, but all young adults aren't going to college. All right. So middle schoolers, high schoolers, collegiate, young adults, and you'll be surprised that if you have a large number of any one of these groups, they're really not trying to hang out with the other group. All right. So when you're putting a program, let people know who this program is for. Hey, this is for my middle schoolers this week. This is for my high school. This is for my collegiate. This is for my young adult, maybe my collegiate young adults, whatever the case may be. But be specific as much as you can. What is this aiming for? And whatever activity, whatever you're sharing, you're doing your best to make it age appropriate. All right. Topics, relevant topics, special guests. Listen, you can always have a program about music. There's always something coming out. You can discuss music all day, all night. Anytime you bring up music, you're going to get a whole lot of people interested. Fashion, trends, what's going on, what's hot, what's not. How does that affect my spirituality? How does God influence what I put on, what I take off, what I listen to? You can talk about celebrities, TMZ, what's going on. Listen, man, our young people are connected. If they're on Snapchat, Instagram, they are watching celebrities, all right? What they do, what's happening. Lifestyles. I mean, we can go all into all of the different lifestyles that are out there. These are potential topics for programs. Social justice, that's huge amongst our collegiates and young adults. Very tuned in, I should say, to what's going on the social justice levels. And then as far as programming, maybe, it's Black History Month. Y'all can talk about Black history, Black inventors, special dates, special events that are happening. These are all a number of things that you can utilize when you're putting together a program or a discussion. Maybe you want to invite somebody in to talk about social justice. Maybe you want to invite somebody to come in to talk about lifestyles. You'd be surprised how many people in your congregation have some expertise in so many areas. And even use your seniors, y'all. Our seniors, man, have a wealth of knowledge. They've been through so much. And you can invite your seniors to put on a program. Hey, come share with us what it was like during the 60s when, there was marches, there was all this racial tension. Share with us what it was like growing up this here, there, and whatever the case may be. Have a discussion about the differences between now and then. These are all things, man, that we can use when it comes to programming for our youth and young adults. All right, so we're going to move on. So listen, I got to share this with you. I hope everybody's still tuned in. I got to share some of this stuff with you. This is our human resource updates. If your team is working with you, then they need to go through the verified volunteers training and background screening. I have it here on the website. I have the website here on the slide, but you may just be listening by way of telephone. And I'm going to invite you to go to LRCYouth.com. All right. That's like Lake Region Conference Youth, but LRCYouth.com. When you go there, you'll see it says verified volunteers. You click on that link, it'll immediately take you to the website where you can get your volunteers registered. All right. Make sure they've had that background screening. Listen, I don't care how dynamic they are. I don't care, how powerful they may be speaking or influential. That everyone who's working with minors, 17 and under, they need to go through this training. All right. They need to go through the background screening. All right. So we strongly encourage that. And the conference picks up that cost. All right. Not everybody in the church needs to do it, but the people working on your team, your committee, need to have gone through this if they're going to be working with and around young people. All right. The next update, and when you're inviting guest speakers to your church, all right, when you're inviting guest speakers to your church, there is a W-9 form that is available on the LRCYouth.com website. This is a form that keeps you safe from a tax perspective, all right? You want your speakers to fill out that form, get it back to you before you cut them a check for an honorarium or anything, all right? Make sure that they have filled out this form and you've given it to your treasurer and they have that on file. And then, guys, listen, discuss with your speakers the expectations up front. How many times do you want them to speak? All right. When do you want them to speak? All right. What is the expectation of honorarium? Depending on the person, the cost. Are you paying for their transportation? Are you paying for their food, their lodging? What are the expectations? Some people, they want to fly a certain airline. They want to stay in a certain hotel, right? Get these expectations up front so that speakers don't come in and you're finding out like, what? I didn't know that all this and whatever the case may be. And then it's a bad experience for everyone. And so find out up front what your speakers' expectations are in terms of when you invite them to your church to speak, all right? Travel and outings, all right? 15-passenger vans, y'all. 15-passenger vans are no longer allowed as mandated by the North American Division. Whether your church has their own independent insurance or you have the conference insurance, 15-passenger vans have been deemed as dangerous. And matter of fact, if something happens in a 15-passenger van, the people are going to sue the entity that has the most money. So they may not even come after the local church. They may not come after you, but they will come after the conference or some other entity of the church. But 15-passenger vans, do not transport anyone in a 15-passenger van, all right? For those who are driving your young people, they need to obviously have gone through the background screening and training, but they need to show you proof that they have a driver's license. All right. It may sound funny. It may sound, no. You want to lay eyes as you, the leader, if you're not the one driving, please lay eyes on it. Make sure that it's valid. Make sure it's not expired. You want to make sure these are your young people in your care. There's also a parental consent form for all the outings that you go on. You want to make sure that there's a consent form on the website. You want to make sure that they filled out the consent form if something happens on that trip. For those who work in Pathfinder ministry, they do this all the time. They know about this all the time. And then proof of insurance. Make a copy of the insurance card front to back. You want to have these things on you when you go on outings. If somebody gets hurt and you have to rush them to the hospital, these are things that they need. They need the consent form, which consents to treat the young person if they're hurt, and you have the insurance information so that the individual, the hospital or the clinic, whatever the case may be, is treating them, can go ahead and treat them. All right. So we're gonna move on here. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done here. All right, man. Listen, I was gonna share this, but I'm just gonna put it on the screen, y'all. Right now, it's 9:04. LRCYouth.com/resources. Let me tell you something. Please go there tonight. Go to that website tonight, LRCYouth.com/resources. There are websites for Sabbath school materials, young adult materials. There are websites for IBelieveBible.com where they have video vignettes that you can share with your young people and have a discussion afterwards. There are resources available. There are videos, YouTube videos. There are articles that are available. I've put all of those links on LRCYouth.com/resources. Go through that 52 weeks of AY ideas that you can plan your year out. It's all there for you. We want you to be without excuse, guys, of things that you can do with your youth and young adult. That is there for you free of charge.